The movie begins in the future, a time when wars between nations are raging out of control. Some countries are forced to unleash nuclear weapons, wiping out billions of lives. But the fallout leaves behind something far more terrifying: genetic mutations. From these mutations, a new kind of human is born. They look like us, but each one carries supernatural powers in different forms. Many of them use their abilities for chaos, robbing, looting, and spreading violence in the streets.
To fight back, the government builds a maximum security prison designed specifically for these enhanced criminals. Inside, you'll find convicts who can control electricity, others who can shoot lasers straight from their eyes. But the guards have a weapon of their own, a special device locked around the inmates' legs that strips them of their powers. And among these prisoners, there's one name whispered in fear: Loeb. His gift, or his curse, is the ability to control minds. Loeb is the most dangerous, the most infamous inmate in the entire facility.
Then we shift to the city. Inside a dark parking garage, a gang of super criminals has captured a man named Jack. They torture him mercilessly. Why? Because Jack failed. His mission was to kill a man named Walter, a relentless hunter of super criminals who has already taken down dozens of them. Jack pleads for mercy, insisting he couldn't find Walter, but he killed Walter's family instead. That's when the atmosphere changes. Walter himself appears, stepping out of the shadows.
Without hesitation, he tears through the gang one by one. But one of them is different. Bullets don't harm him. He shields himself and protects his last surviving ally. A brutal fight erupts between Walter and this unbreakable opponent. In the end, Walter overpowers him, killing both him and his ally. Then Walter approaches Jack and finishes him off. But just as he does, police sirens flood the garage. Squad cars surround Walter. The shocking part? Walter doesn't fight back. He simply raises his hands and surrenders. The authorities transfer him straight into the prison for enhanced criminals. But here's the twist. That was Walter's plan all along. Soon, the media catches fire with the story. Everyone knows him by another name now: the Avenger. He has already killed over 50 powered criminals, seeking revenge for his murdered family. And now, he declares his mission openly. He will kill every last inmate inside that prison. The spotlight then shifts to the prison's director, Devlin, a man just days away from retirement. On a live news broadcast, he defends the prison system. The anchor points out the obvious danger. Ordinary inmates are being held alongside superpowered ones. Isn't that a massive risk?
But Devlin argues otherwise. Once their powers are suppressed, they're no different from anyone else, he insists. Rumors swirl about inhumane treatment of supercriminals, but Devlin denies everything. Frustrated, he reminds the public of his flawless record. Not a single inmate has escaped on his watch. And with that, he abruptly ends the interview. Back at the prison gates, Walter arrives along with a new group of fresh inmates. Among them is Diego, a quiet man with an unusual ability. He can sense the emotions of people around him. Diego has never harmed anyone, but under the government's new law, anyone with powers can be arrested simply for suspicion.
As they're processed inside, another inmate named Jim threatens Walter, vowing revenge for his brother whom Walter killed long ago. The new prisoners are escorted deeper into the facility, where they meet a stern female guard named Mora. She mocks Diego, calling him the weakest of them all because his only gift is feeling emotions. She warns him to stay out of trouble if he wants to survive. Then another guard approaches Walter. He smirks and says he's heard a lot about him. The guard smirks at Walter, telling him he's not as terrifying as the media makes him out to be. But Walter suddenly makes a sharp, unexpected move, startling the guard, who stumbles backward in fear.
That's when Mora, the female officer, steps in. She strikes Walter hard and warns him she too has powers, and she won't allow any kind of chaos inside her prison. Moments later, the deputy warden, Browdy, arrives. He reminds the new inmates that the devices locked around their ankles suppress their abilities. Not only that, the guards can control them remotely at will. He warns them all, cause trouble and you'll pay the price. Browdy orders Walter to step back in line, but Walter refuses.
Without hesitation, Browdy activates Walter's device. A violent surge of electricity rips through his body, sending him crashing to the ground in agony. After the punishment, the new inmates are processed, receiving their uniforms and supplies before being thrown into their cells. The next morning, Walter steps out into the prison yard. The moment Jim spots him, rage takes over. Jim charges at Walter and the two clash in a brutal fistfight. Inside his office, Director Devlin watches the entire brawl unfold through surveillance cameras. He doesn't interfere. On the contrary, he enjoys the show. Even the guards stand idly by, entertained by the spectacle.
Nearby, Diego speaks with another prisoner named Jordan. Diego is shocked that the guards don't step in. Jordan explains that this is normal here. The guards only intervene when one of the fighters is about to die. The fight continues, savage and relentless. Without his powers, Jim struggles to keep up. Walter dominates him, striking blow after blow. Just as Walter prepares to finish Jim once and for all, the guards finally activate the control devices. Both men collapse, convulsing under electric shocks until they pass out. They're dragged off to the infirmary.
Later, Jordan properly introduces himself to Diego. His ability? Control over electricity. He reveals he was one of the first powered criminals ever locked inside this prison. He takes Diego on a quiet tour of the facility, offering survival advice. Stay away from other inmates, don't get involved in their fights, and keep your head down. Otherwise, every mistake adds more years to your sentence. But if you lay low, you might just get out one day. Diego then asks about a name he's heard whispered, Loeb. Diego's eyes light up with curiosity, eager to see him. Jordan warns him, Loeb is the most powerful of them all. His gift is mind control. If the prison hadn't stripped him of his powers, he would have escaped a long time ago. Soon after, Diego crosses paths with a massive, intimidating inmate named Darius. Once Darius leaves, Jordan tells Diego the truth. Darius is Loeb's right-hand man, his loyal enforcer. That same day, Loeb himself is escorted into a pitch-black chamber deep within the prison. It's not just a room, it's the courtroom, where parole hearings take place. The inmates communicate with the board only through a speaker system. When it's his turn, Loeb mocks the judges openly. He knows the truth. Someone like him will never walk free. Their verdict means nothing to him. But then, Director Devlin steps into the shadows. The entire parole session was nothing but a setup, a way to speak with Loeb alone. Devlin makes his intentions clear. He knows Loeb once controlled the minds of countless people, forcing them to transfer their fortunes into his accounts. And now, with Devlin's retirement just around the corner, he wants it all. He demands Loeb transfer every last dollar to him.
You're serving life in here. You'll never need the money, Devlin sneers. And then comes the threat. If Loeb refuses, Devlin will order an operation to fry his brain, destroying his mind forever. And with that threat hanging over him, Loeb realizes he has no choice. If Devlin fries his brain, his powers will be gone forever. Reluctantly, Loeb agrees. A short time later, we shift to the prison infirmary. Dr. Isabel is treating the injured inmates. At the same time, Diego enters, quietly collecting trash and cleaning the ward.
Mara notices him and treats him harshly, mocking him as usual. Once she leaves, Isabel's expression hardens. She clearly disapproves of Mara's behavior. To Isabel, Diego isn't like the others. He's not dangerous. She approaches him gently, telling him not to take Mara's words to heart. Not everyone here is bad, she says softly, sharing a little about her work and how fulfilling it is. Then she heads into the next room to begin Loeb's psychological session. But suddenly, Walter storms inside. Without warning, he grabs Isabel and chokes her until she collapses unconscious. His target isn't Isabel, it's Loeb. Walter wants him dead, knowing that Loeb is the most dangerous of them all.
Just as Walter prepares to strike, Diego bursts in. He throws himself between them, forcing Walter back. Digging deep into his own strength, Diego manages to overpower Walter, slamming him to the ground until guards arrive and drag Walter away in chains.
News of the incident spreads like wildfire. Diego instantly gains respect from the other inmates for taking down Walter, the Avenger himself. At mealtime, they even share their food with him as a gesture of honor. Jordan, grinning, tells Diego he needs to use this newfound respect to his advantage. But before they can finish, Darius approaches. He delivers a message. Loeb wants to thank Diego personally. Darius leads him to Loeb's cell. Loeb greets him calmly, his piercing eyes studying every move. He thanks Diego for saving his life and makes him an offer. Join him, and he'll help Diego escape from the prison. Tempted, Diego agrees. But in that moment, it's clear. Loeb is already calculating something far bigger.
Meanwhile, in his office, Director Devlin is approached by his assistant, Felicia. She confronts him, admitting she knows about his secret deal with Loeb. Devlin smirks and shows her 2 letters. One letter recommends her as the new warden after his retirement. The other letter claims she's unfit for the job. He tells her that soon he'll decide which one to send to the board. The threat is crystal clear. Stay silent or lose everything. Terrified, Felicia is forced to obey. Days pass, and prison life returns to its grim routine. Dr. Isabel checks on Walter again, finally discharging him from the infirmary, this time shackled tightly to prevent more trouble. Jim is released too, sent back to his cell.
Then comes the day of Jordan's parole hearing. Standing before the board, Jordan tries desperately to prove he's changed. He insists he's stayed out of trouble, followed every rule, and become a better man. He pleads for a second chance at life outside the prison walls. But the board delivers a crushing blow. No one has visited you since your imprisonment. You have no family, no one waiting for you. You're not fit to rejoin society. The words cut deep. Jordan erupts in anger, shouting that it doesn't matter if he has no family. He could start one once he's free. But his outburst seals his fate. His parole request is denied.
Back in the cafeteria, Jordan sits in silence, drowning in frustration and despair. Diego notices and gently asks what's wrong, but Jordan brushes him off. Then, without warning, Darius walks up and places a metal spoon on Jordan's tray. He does the same with Jim, and then distributes spoons across the entire cafeteria. It's not random, it's a signal, and the truth becomes clear. Loeb ordered it. He's setting his plan in motion. Jordan studies the guard nearby, noticing his attention wandering. With a sharp move, he bends the spoon and jams it into the ankle device, short-circuiting the control system. The suppression field drops. Electricity crackles in Jordan's eyes once more.
He turns to Diego, smiling. "You've been a good friend," he says. "And now I finally have my chance to escape." After that, Jordan squares off against the guard, taunting him, provoking him. The guard suddenly notices the suppression device on Jordan's ankle is offline. He quickly radios for backup, but Jordan doesn't wait. He leaps onto the cafeteria table, grabs an exposed power cable, and presses it against his body. Electricity surges into him. His veins glow as his strength returns. After so long without it, the sensation is intoxicating. A wicked grin spreads across his face. He unleashes a violent electric blast, striking the guard down. Now fully charged, Jordan storms through the prison, tearing apart the electrical systems. The result is chaos. Control units fail, power dampeners collapse. Suddenly, every inmate has their powers back. Fights erupt everywhere. The prison spirals into madness. From his office, Devlin orders Felicia to fix the system immediately. Racing against time, she manages to reboot the control grid. Within seconds, the inmates collapse, their powers neutralized once more. Guards rush in, dragging them back to their cells. Order is restored, at least on the surface. Meanwhile, Jordan stumbles into the prison infirmary. He peers through a barred window, staring at the outside world with hollow eyes. His plan failed. The chaos didn't set him free. He's still trapped.
Suddenly, Mora storms in. Without warning, she slams him to the ground. A cold command echoes in her earpiece. Devlin's orders: kill Jordan. She obeys, striking again and again until Jordan lies lifeless in her hands.
Soon after, the media reports the incident. Devlin's official statement claims a fire broke out inside the prison. According to him, Jordan used the distraction to escape, but during the chase, he fell from the rooftop and died. The anchors exchange uneasy glances. They don't buy it. Too many accidents have happened at this prison. Every time, Devlin calls it a failed escape. Every time, another inmate ends up dead.
Back inside the prison, Diego makes a call to his wife, but Mora cuts the line short, coldly informing him that Devlin wants to see him. When Diego enters Devlin's office, the warden doesn't waste words. He already knows Loeb orchestrated the riot, and worse, he suspects Diego is involved, especially after learning Diego once visited Loeb's cell. As they walk, Devlin leads Diego to a dark steel door. Inside, the torture chamber. He explains that anyone who enters dies within minutes. His message is clear. Lie to me, and this room will be your end. Fear flashes across Diego's face. Devlin demands the truth. What deal did he make with Loeb?
Diego insists it was nothing. Loeb only wanted to be friends. Devlin studies him, then decides to believe. For now. Later, Devlin confronts Loeb at his cell. He warns him against even thinking about escape and orders him to transfer the money immediately. Devlin's retirement is only days away. Loeb smiles calmly. The money will be in your account the day you step down, he promises. Then he makes one request, a tablet with the prison's Wi-Fi password. Devlin hesitates, but eventually agrees. Elsewhere, Felicia inspects the prison's main power source with Brody and another guard. She confides in Brody, admitting she's disturbed by how casually they kill inmates.
Brody's response is cold. We don't kill without reason, only those who lose control. It's for order. Then, without giving her room to argue, he changes the subject, saying he'll send a technician tomorrow to repair the damage Jordan caused. The next day, a repair worker arrives, fixing the scorched power conduits. At the same time, one of the guards discreetly slips letters into the inmates' cells, unnoticed by anyone. It's part of Loeb's plan. The guard is working for him, and in his cell, Loeb finally begins the next stage. With the tablet Devlin delivered, he programs a virus, designed to infiltrate the prison system and seize complete control.
Soon after, Diego confronts Loeb, demanding to know exactly what he wants from him. Loeb answers calmly, "I'll help you escape, but only if you follow my rules. No matter what happens, you must never break the prison's laws." Days later, the day of Devlin's retirement finally arrives. He meets with Felicia and shocks her with unexpected news. He recommended Brody as the next warden, not her. The decision crushes her, leaving her feeling betrayed, overlooked, and furious. Afterward, Devlin goes to Loeb's cell. He orders him to transfer the money as agreed. In return, he promises to ensure the new warden treats Loeb well. Loeb takes the tablet, begins the transfer, and at the same time, secretly uploads his virus into the prison's mainframe. Within moments, the inmate control system collapses. The dampeners fail. Powers return. Chaos explodes. The prison erupts into war. Inmates unleash their abilities. Laser blasts slice through steel. Sonic waves shake the walls. Wounds heal in seconds. Poisonous gas fills the air. The guards are overwhelmed, powerless to contain the outbreak. Only Mora stands her ground. With powers of her own, she fights back against the raging inmates. Elsewhere, Jim, his body now hardened into living rock, turns into a juggernaut. He charges Walter, hammering him mercilessly. Walter fights back, but Jim doesn't even flinch. Walter's life hangs by a thread until another inmate distracts Jim just in time. Meanwhile, Diego writhes in the infirmary. His empathic powers overload. He feels the pain, rage, and fear of every inmate at once. The agony is unbearable. But Isabel is by his side. She calms him, helps him focus, teaches him to control the storm. Strengthened, Diego barricades himself inside with Isabel and a guard, keeping danger at bay. Back in Loeb's cell, Devlin receives Felicia's urgent call about the chaos. He tries to return to his office, but finds the door sealed. He orders Felicia to hold things together until he gets out. Brody demands answers.
Felicia tells him to reset the system, shut down the power source, then restart it. That's the only way. Brody agrees and heads to the generator. But Jim is waiting, watching. He hates Brody, sick of the endless mockery. He attacks. Brody fights desperately, but Jim is unstoppable. At the last moment, Brody smashes a gas pipe, creating an explosion that distracts Jim long enough for him to stumble into a live generator. Electricity surges through him until he burns to ash. At that moment, Loeb reveals his hidden truth to Devlin. He has a power no one knows about. Devlin scoffs. He claims he's been weakening Loeb for years, slipping supplements into his meals through Diego, who works in the prison kitchen. But lately, Diego has stopped delivering them. For the first time, Devlin falters. Still, he reassures himself it doesn't matter. He's leaving this place forever, and the money transfer is complete. Smirking, Devlin punches Loeb unconscious. Seconds later, the power grid comes back online. The system reboots. Inmates collapse as their powers vanish. Order is restored. Loeb's cell door opens, and Devlin strides out. He orders guards to drag Loeb to the torture chamber, his final punishment.
Later, Devlin meets Felicia again. To her shock, his tone has changed, suddenly respectful, even kind. He announces a new decision. She will be the next warden. Felicia is stunned, then overjoyed. Days pass. Felicia officially takes control of the prison. She removes every trace of Devlin's belongings and throws them away. Meanwhile, Brody resigns, walking out for good. At the same time, Devlin returns to collect Darius, who has just been granted parole, and Diego is escorted onto a prison bus. He's being transferred to a facility without superpowered inmates. Unbeknownst to them, Devlin arranged both releases. Darius joins Devlin in the car. As they drive, Devlin reveals his plan. They're leaving the country, moving to Switzerland to live free and rich. But then, Devlin glances into the rearview mirror. For a split second, the reflection staring back isn't his own, it's Loeb. The truth hits like thunder. This isn't Devlin, it's Loeb. We discover Loeb's secret, his hidden power, the ability to transfer his soul into another's body, trapping their spirit inside his own. In his cell, during the chaos, he switched bodies with Devlin. Now, wearing Devlin's face, Loeb has everything: freedom, power, and all the money. And the film ends.